its 40th anniversary, I'm here to tell you that Close Encounters of the Third Kind is no perfect movie. So in Close Encounters, for those who don't know, it centers around a man named Roy, played by Richard Dreyfuss, whose life changes drastically after he witnesses a UFO. He begins seeing subliminal messages everywhere he goes, and when it's convinced that it means something, he teams up with a young woman, played by Melinda Dillon, whose son went missing during these encounters, in order to find some answers and discover why the government may be concealing the truth. Steven Spielberg's direction in this movie is unbelievably impressive even by today's standards. He's always known how to film one scene in one long continuous take and film it at multiple angles so that it looks like there was a cut in between when really it was done in just one master shot. And there's really good use of deep focus where in one scene there is someone or something of interest on the left in the background and another person on the right in the foreground. So that when there's a huge level of importance in a certain scene, the audience can look back and forth between subjects without having to adjust their focus. And on top of that, there's just so many extreme wide shots in this movie that they all look huge in scope thanks to the deep focus effect. And I love the fact that Spielberg actually keeps the aliens off screen for almost the entire movie. The most we ever see are flying saucers or a series of bright lights in the sky. And because you don't know what they look like or what they want, it's all the more suspenseful when the movie builds up an encounter. And the build-up itself is done in a really subtle way where there's no musical score, and the only thing you can hear are sound effects like crickets in the background, a person breathing, or a flying saucer floating up in the sky. And these sound effects sound so realistic that you actually feel as if you're in the moment with these characters. Richard Dreyfuss does a very natural job at transitioning from a man who has a consistently tough, smart-ass attitude when it comes to raising his family and being a good husband and father, to constantly obsessing over something that he can't explain to the point of isolating himself from everyone he knows, whether it be friends or family. He has to do a lot of scenes where his behavior seems over the top to everyday people, like in one family dinner where he picks up a handful of mashed potatoes and he sculpts it to look like one of his visions. And his reactions to his own behavior really make us feel the torture that comes with trying to answer something he's never dealt with before, and it makes us want to root for him even more when he's trying to look for answers. And I must give credit to Carrie Guffey, who was only 3 years old at the time of filming. He has very minimal dialogue, some of which you can't really even understand because he babbles like any other 3-year-old, but he still gives such a good child performance, and some of it comes from the way Spielberg directed him and how he managed to get a reaction out of him during certain scenes. There's one scene where he crawls out of bed to investigate a noise, and off-screen he sees an alien, and it turns out what he was actually looking at off-screen was Spielberg unwrapping a toy present for him, and naturally that made him smile the way any kid would when they're like, wow, there are actually aliens that exist. And Melinda Dillon also did really good work as his mother. She handled the more vulnerable moments where she's desperate to find her son very well, and you genuinely believed that she was willing to do anything, whether it be trespassing other people's property or many other different things that she does in the movie in order to find him. There are times when the editing makes certain scenes feel either too abruptly cut off or drag on for too long. There's one scene in particular where I started to notice this, where these group of people are gathering to see what they think is going to be a saucer, but it turns out it's a helicopter, and then after what feels like 5 seconds of the helicopter roaming around the crowd, it immediately cuts to a group of government workers, and that scene goes on for what feels like 10 minutes of them saying these scientific and cryptic comments that I honestly couldn't follow. And even then, that scene cuts off abruptly and goes right back to Roy, who wasn't affected by that helicopter incident at all. And those editing choices make you wonder what happened in between those events. It really makes you question the continuity. There is an uneven balance of scenes that either abruptly end or drag on for too long, but Close Encounters has really good performances and a tense, well-directed atmosphere that leads to an incredible finale where just the last 30 minutes alone felt better than most current movies nowadays, and that's all thanks to Steven Spielberg as a director and Richard Dreyfuss, Melinda Dillon, and Carrie Guffey as actors, and the incredible special effects that are shown at the end that all look extremely practical and still hold up even 40 years later. Like I said, the finale, it makes up for any flaws that I had with the rest of the movie, and for that reason, I'm going to give Close Encounters of the Third Kind a 4 out of 5. Guys, thanks as always for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, check out my other reviews at NoPerfectMovie.com. And once again, thank you all very much for watching. Take care.